Imagine this. You're sitting across from a woman, maybe in a dimly lit bar, maybe at a cafe. Her laughter lingers in the air, her hand brushes her hair, and for a fleeting second you notice something. Her pupils widen, just slightly, and then her eyes dart downward, almost grazing your lips. Your heart kicks. A jolt of electricity shoots through your chest. You tell yourself it must mean something, that you're seeing the truth, the hidden language of attraction, that her body is betraying the secret her words haven't spoken yet. And in that instant, you start to build a story in your head, a story where she's already yours. But here's the harsh truth: men get trapped by these micro moments. You see a dilated pupil and think she's in awe of you. You catch a lip glance and assume she's dying for your kiss. You interpret signals like omens, like signs carved into stone. And while you're lost in the fantasy, she's watching you. She's measuring your reaction. Because women, especially those who know the silent power they hold, understand something most men don't. Your belief in the signal is often more powerful than the signal itself. Yes, dilated pupils can mean arousal. Lip glances can mean desire. But they can also mean she's in a warm room, her eyes adjusting to the light. Or she's nervous, thinking of something else entirely. The danger isn't in noticing these signs. The danger is in needing them to mean what you hope they mean. The moment you start chasing proof in her biology, you've already given up your power. Because now you're the one waiting for her body language to validate you. Let's be brutally honest, women can sense this hunger. They can feel when a man is desperate to decode every twitch of her eyelash, like it's scripture. And that desperation shifts the entire dynamic. You go from being the man who carries himself with calm detachment, who doesn't need her signals to decide his value, into the man who bends his mood, his confidence, and his choices around the flicker of her eyes. And once she sees that, she knows she can lead you wherever she wants, without saying a single word. I've seen men spiral because of this. A guy notices her pupils widen when he makes a joke, so he keeps joking harder and harder until he's the clown she can't respect. Another sees her glance at his lips, so he lunges in for a kiss too soon. And the moment crumbles because he mistook curiosity for longing. And perhaps the most common, he keeps replaying the moment in his head for days, convincing himself she wanted him, but failing to notice she never texted back. All because he worshipped the signal instead of grounding himself in reality. So how do you protect yourself from this trap? You flip the script. You don't ignore signals, but you don't chase them either. You register them. You file them away, but you never let them dictate your next move. If she glances at your lips, don't leap, hold steady. Keep speaking with calm authority. Let the silence build until she leans in on her own. If her pupils widen, don't pat yourself on the back like you've won. See if her actions over time match the spike of interest her body hinted at. Real attraction reveals itself in consistency, not in flickers. The tactical edge here is this: you don't test a woman's interest by looking for microsignals. You test it by pulling back, by holding space, by letting her show you whether her words, her actions, and her presence align with the story her body seems to tell. If she wants you, she'll move closer. She'll find reasons to extend the conversation. She'll create openings. If she doesn't, the signals fade into nothing. And when you train yourself to detach from the fantasy, you never get burned. What would happen if, the next time you saw a lip glance, you didn't move? If you just let the tension sit in the air, watching whether she breaks it first? What would it feel like to know you can notice attraction without needing to pounce on it? That's where your power is not in guessing, but in standing unshaken, letting her reveal herself fully. So let me ask you, Have you ever mistaken a quick glance or a fleeting signal for deep interest, only to feel humiliated later? Which moment in your life still replays in your head because you thought a look meant more than it did? And most of all, what's harder for you, noticing the signs or staying detached from them? You've probably noticed this when a woman glances at your lips or her pupils widen. You feel a rush of hope. It's almost addictive. Your chest tightens, your pulse quickens, and you start interpreting everything she does as a code you must solve. But here's the thing. Attraction isn't a puzzle she sets for you to decode. It's a battlefield where your response determines whether you win or lose respect. Think about the last time this happened. Maybe you were talking with her, and she looked down, lingered for a second, and your mind screamed, "She wants me." Did you lean in too fast? Did you let your nervous system take control? Because if you did, you probably noticed something else, the sudden shift in her energy, the way she pulled back slightly, the way her interest seemed to evaporate, and you sat there wondering what just happened. What happened is simple. She felt you give away your frame. Frame is everything. It's the invisible structure that tells her whether you are the man she follows or the man she plays. When you get caught up in signs, you abandon your frame. You allow her body language, unconscious, inconsistent, fleeting, to dictate your behavior. Instead of leading the interaction, you're reacting to her every micro expression. That doesn't read as strength, it reads as submission. And women test for this constantly, not always consciously. Why does this work? Because women know that attention is currency. If your mood shifts because of a glance or a widened pupil, you've just proven your attention is for sale, and she didn't even have to give you anything real. She didn't invest in you. She didn't commit. She didn't show up with action. She simply moved her eyes, and you gave her control. That's the hidden game signals can hook men into chasing shadows, and a man who chases shadows loses the ground beneath him. You need to retrain your mind. Instead of asking, "Does this mean she wants me?" ask, "What does her consistency show me?" Attraction is never about isolated sparks. It's about whether those sparks repeat, whether they escalate, whether she invests back. A lip glance is a spark, but if she doesn't move closer, doesn't hold your gaze, doesn't keep finding reasons to linger, then the spark dies in the air. Only actions prove interest. Words can lie, signals can mislead, but patterns never lie. So here's the tactical response when you see a signal. Don't escalate. Wait. Give her space to confirm it. If she glances at your lips and you stay grounded, she'll either lean in herself or escalate in another way. That's how you separate real desire from passing habit. If her pupils dilate, don't reward yourself. Observe what she does in the next 5 minutes. Does she stay close? Does she playfully touch your arm? Does she invest? Or does she check her phone, change the subject, retreat? The difference between a man who wins respect and one who loses it is that the first observes and waits, while the second reacts and chases. And here's another truth you need to hear. Some women will use these signals deliberately. They'll look at your lips, not because they want you, but because they want to keep you hooked, keep you orbiting. They'll widen their eyes, tilt their head, lean in, then pull back the moment you show eagerness. This isn't always conscious, but it's effective, because now you're hooked, wondering why she gave you the look but denied the kiss, wondering why she gave you warmth but then went cold. That cycle of pull and push, that's how power flips. That's how men lose months, even years, chasing a woman who was never theirs to begin with. So you break the cycle by becoming unmovable. You can notice the signal, but you never change course because of it. You don't move faster. You don't validate her with extra effort. You don't crumble into seeking. You let her show up fully, or you let her fade. And this indifference, this ability to not chase, is exactly what creates magnetic tension, because most men rush in, most men signal need. But the rare man who holds back, who doesn't flinch, he becomes the storm she can't ignore. The battlefield isn't about spotting signals, it's about holding the frame when you do. That's the test you're always taking, whether you realize it or not. And every time you pass, her respect deepens. Every time you fail, her interest cracks. So let me ask you, when was the last time you felt your entire mood swing because of a single look? Have you ever had a woman send you a signal only to pull back, leaving you chasing her ghost? And most importantly, what would it feel like if you could see the signals, feel the rush, but never lose control again? Some women are masters of subtle theater. They won't declare their interest outright. They'll let you stew in the uncertainty, let you torture yourself with every glance and every flicker of their eyes. And if you're not careful, you'll become her audience instead of her equal. You'll sit there scanning for clues like a detective who can't rest until the case is solved. But here's the problem. Attraction isn't about gathering evidence. It's about maintaining control. When you overanalyze signals like dilated pupils or lip glances, you start living in reaction mode. You become hyper-attuned to her every move, and instead of being present, you're in your head, building narratives. That self-consciousness leaks out. Your words stumble, your timing shifts, your energy turns shaky, and she feels it instantly. A woman can sense when you've stopped leading and started following her subconscious cues. That shift kills attraction faster than silence ever could. Let's make it real. You're standing at a party, music low, people mingling. She looks at you, then at your lips. You catch it, your chest heats up, and suddenly you're not thinking about your drink, your story, your presence. You're thinking about whether you should kiss her right now. You rush in. She turns her head slightly. You're left hovering in the air, embarrassed, your confidence drained in front of everyone. All because you mistook one glance as destiny instead of testing whether it repeated, whether she followed through. Here's the strategic shift. Stop trying to read her signals like they're a secret code. Start using them as triggers to test her consistency. A lip glance isn't your green light, it's your starting point. If she does it once, ignore it. If she does it twice, let silence build. If she does it 3 times, lean closer slightly, but never break your frame. Let her bridge the final gap. That's how you remain the prize. That's how you turn the game back in your favor. Now let's talk about the cost of not making this shift. Because when you chase these signals, you feed an illusion. You convince yourself she's deeply interested when she may not be. You overlook the lack of follow-through. You excuse her coldness, her inconsistency, her withdrawal because you're still hooked on that one moment when her eyes widened or her lips parted. You tell yourself, she likes me, she just needs time, and weeks pass, then months. You invest more energy, more effort, more emotion, yet she never steps closer. And by the time you realize it, you're drained. She's moved on, and your confidence has taken a hit that scars deeper than you admit. That's why indifference is your weapon, not ignorance indifference. You see the glance, but you don't hinge your self-worth on it. You catch the dilation, but you don't rewrite the script in your head. You let it be what it is, a data point, not a declaration. Because when you can hold steady in the face of temptation, you flip the polarity. You stop being the one chasing her unconscious signals, and you become the man whose silence forces her to reveal whether she's real or playing. And here's the beautiful irony: when you stop needing the signals to mean something, that's when they start meaning more. Because now you're not leaning in, you're waiting. You're not guessing, you're observing. You're not rushing, you're allowing. And women feel this difference. They feel when a man isn't shaken by their glances, when his calm won't break. And that calm, that's what pulls them in harder than any clever line ever could. practical move the next time you see a lip glance. Don't move. Keep your eyes on hers, steady and calm. Let the silence breathe. If she's truly interested, she'll close the distance herself. If she's not, you've lost nothing, you've only preserved your dignity. That's the test. That's the war. And most men lose it not because they don't see the signals, but because they can't resist the need to act on them too soon. So I'll ask you, have you ever convinced yourself a woman liked you based on one fleeting signal, only to realize later it was nothing? Have you ever chased the ghost of a glance and ended up feeling small? And most importantly, what would your life look like if you stopped chasing signs and started demanding consistency instead? Here's the reality most men don't want to admit. Sometimes the signals are real, and sometimes they're bait. A woman might glance at your lips because she's curious, because she's genuinely drawn to you. But she might also do it because she knows it hooks you, because it stirs your imagination, because it keeps you guessing. And if you've ever found yourself thinking about her for days after a single moment like that, you already know how powerful this hook can be. The real danger isn't in her signals, it's in what they unlock inside you. You start replaying the scene in your mind. You start attaching meaning, spinning stories, imagining outcomes. And the longer you sit in that fantasy, the more leverage she has. Because now, you're invested before she's even proven anything. You're chasing her without realizing you've started running. That's how men get stuck in limbo, half in reality, half in their own projection. Let me paint you a picture. You meet a woman, and during the first conversation she gives you 2 or 3 of these cues. Dilated pupils, a glance at your lips, maybe even a brush of her hair that feels intentional. You walk away from the interaction replaying every detail. The next day, you text her, eager, leaning forward with your energy, but her responses are slow, cold, or inconsistent. Instead of facing that, you cling to those signals, telling yourself, she must like me. I saw it in her eyes. And suddenly, you're chasing a ghost, investing in a woman who's giving you nothing tangible in return. This is why discipline matters more than perception. Any man can notice a signal. The difference between weak men and strong men is in their response. A weak man reacts instantly, needing the signal to validate him. A strong man acknowledges it, files it away, and then tests her through time and consistency. Because attraction that's real doesn't vanish when you don't act on it immediately, it intensifies. A woman who truly wants you won't give one signal and then disappear. She'll keep showing up over and over until her interest is undeniable. So the tactic is simple, but brutal. Never act on the first sign. Make it a rule for yourself. If she glances at your lips once, let it go. If her pupils widen once, observe, but do nothing. Wait for the pattern. Wait for the escalation. And in that waiting, you reclaim your power. Because you stop being the man who leaps at crumbs and become the man who demands a meal. Here's where most men fail. They confuse tension with confirmation. A lip glance doesn't confirm attraction, it creates tension. And what you do with that tension defines you. If you rush to relieve it, you collapse. If you hold it, let it burn in the air, you become magnetic. Women aren't drawn to the man who breaks silence too soon. They're drawn to the man who can hold it, who can let the moment grow heavy until she can't stand it anymore. That's not manipulation. That's presence. That's strength. And don't think women don't notice this. They test it relentlessly. They want to know whether you're the kind of man who needs reassurance every second, or whether you're the kind who doesn't budge even under pressure. Because one is exhausting and the other is rare. One drains them, the other excites them. When you stop flinching at every glance, you stop being predictable. And unpredictability is power. Here's a practical example you can use right now next time you're talking to a woman and you notice a signal, her glance at your lips. Her leaning in slightly, pause your words for 2 seconds. Not awkward silence, but a calm pause. Let her feel the air thicken. Don't break it with nervous chatter. Don't rush to kiss her. Don't fill the space. Just hold it. Watch what she does. If she truly wants you, she'll close that gap. If she doesn't, she'll retreat. Either way, you've kept your frame. Either way, you win. So let me put this back on you. How many times have you destroyed your own chances by moving too soon? By chasing the signal instead of letting it breathe? How many times have you mistaken her teasing glance for a green light, only to realize she was never really invested? And here's the hardest question. Are you willing to train yourself to wait, to demand consistency, to hold the silence until the truth reveals itself? Most men never learn this, and it costs them years of their life. A signal is not a promise. A glance, a widened pupil, a playful lean, it's a spark. But sparks die as quickly as they appear if there's no fuel behind them. The only men who get burned are the ones who confuse a spark for a fire. You've probably been there, sitting across from a woman. You notice her pupils darken as she locks eyes with you. You tell yourself, this is it. She's into me. Your heart races. And before you know it, you're leaning forward, buying her drinks, offering rides, over-investing in attention because you're convinced she's already yours. But here's the brutal reality if the attraction is real. You don't need to overextend. If it's not real, no amount of effort will manufacture it. Either way, chasing faster than she invests always kills the polarity. This is the trap of modern dating. Men confuse micro-signals with commitment. They get lost in fragments instead of measuring the whole picture. And women, whether consciously or unconsciously, know this. Some of them will feed you these signals just enough to keep you orbiting. They'll never follow through, but they'll never stop dropping sparks. Why? Because your attention feels good to them. You become her entertainment, her backup plan, her ego boost, and all the while, you're thinking you're building something real. The cost of this is devastating. You waste months analyzing every glance, every emoji, every delayed reply. When the truth is staring you in the face, she's not consistent. Her signals light you up in the moment, but when it comes to action, her texts are cold, her plans are vague, her presence is scarce. Yet you cling to those pupils widening in that one conversation 2 weeks ago. You justify her absence with the memory of that one lip glance at the bar. You lie to yourself because it's easier than facing the truth. If she wanted you, you would know without guessing. Here's how you shift out of that trap. You stop rewarding sparks and start demanding flames. You stop letting micro signals dictate your confidence. Instead, you look for investment. Does she reach out first? Does she make plans? Does she follow through? If the answer is no, then those signals were nothing but noise. And the moment you detach from chasing them, you take back your power. This isn't about being cold, it's about being grounded. You can notice her glance at your lips without moving. You can feel her eyes dilate without inflating your ego. You let the moment wash over you, but you remain the same man, steady, centered, unaffected. And that steadiness is what separates you from the masses. Because most men jump, most men flinch. Most men let a flicker of attention hijack their behavior. But the rare man who doesn't, he becomes the gravitational pull she can't explain. Practical move the next time you feel that rush when you see a signal. Practice stillness. Slow your breathing. Don't change your expression. Don't rush to fill the moment. Just be. If she's truly drawn to you, she'll escalate. If she's not, the signal fades, and you've saved yourself from chasing an illusion. This discipline isn't easy, but it's the difference between wasting months and keeping your throne intact. And here's the final truth you need to engrave into your mind. Women respect men who don't need reassurance. They admire the man who notices but doesn't crumble, who feels attraction but doesn't lose himself in it. That man doesn't chase sparks, he demands fire. And when you become him, the signals stop confusing you. They stop controlling you. They become what they always should have been, just background noise until her actions prove otherwise. So I'll leave you with this. How many times have you given your energy to a woman who only ever fed you sparks? How much of your life have you wasted interpreting signs that led nowhere? And what would it mean for your future if you stopped chasing glances and started demanding proof? She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.